How long did it take you to figure all this out?
5 years, 8 months, and 12 days.
Why do you need to do this?
Because it's what I'm good at.
Okay, everybody, let's get started.
Here we go.
Counting down. 3, 2, 1.
Game on.
Welcome to Kermode Uncut. You've probably seen there's been a lot of stuff in the press recently about the homogeneity of film critics, that they tend to be white, male, and over 40, like me. Brie Larson was talking about film criticism. She said, I don't need to know what a 40-year-old white male thinks didn't work for them about Wrinkle in Time, the Ava DuVernay science fiction film, which opened to very, very lukewarm reviews and frankly disappointing box office. She was saying that there seems to be something fundamentally wrong about the fact that you can make a film like that and it will be judged largely by old white men rather than the target audience. She wanted to know what people of colour thought about it. She wanted to know what teenage girls thought about it. She wanted some more voices. Then a few days later, there was a report about Ocean's 8, which similarly opened to iffy reviews, although much better box office. It was reported that Cate Blanchett and Mindy Kaling, who are in the film, had complained that the reviews were bad because reviewers tend to be white and male. That's actually not what they said. What they said was that film reviewing should be more diverse. And it is true that when you look at the sort of landscape of film reviewing, it is predominantly white and male. So there's been a lot of discussion about this and what can we do to change it? Well, from my experience, I think two things. Firstly, it's wrong to assume that who you are as a film critic defines your reaction to a film. For example, I really liked Ocean's 8. I gave it a very good review on Radio 5 Live. I really enjoyed it. I'd gone in expecting not to, and right up until the moment that James Corden turned up, I was having a really good time. My colleague, Simran Hans, with whom I share a newspaper column, was kind of much less impressed by the movie. She liked it enough, but she generally thought it was kind of a bit of a letdown and a bit of a disappointment. Now, similarly, I love the Twilight movies, and I am demonstrably not a teenage girl. I remember having this conversation years and years ago with Sherry Lansing, who used to be head of the studio that made Titanic. And I was telling Sherry Lansing what was wrong with Titanic, and she said, yeah, well, the problem with you is you're not a teenage girl. And I thought, well, that's a very good point. That's why I never really understood Titanic, and yet for some reason, I love Twilight. So, it's not as simple as who you are defines what your reactions are, but it is unquestionable that the landscape of film reviewing is predominantly white, male, and over 40. And I am a perfect example of that. Do I think that should change? Well, yeah, absolutely I do. I look at some of the people whose work I admire the most, like my colleague Wendy Ide, again, with whom I share a newspaper column. She writes brilliantly. Why do I like her writing? Because she's a really great film critic. You look at the history of film criticism and you look at people like Pauline Kael and Dilys Powell. These are great writers. I think that the more voices we have, the better it will be. The more you sit in a room and look around and realize that everybody looks like you, then yeah, of course, that's not going to give you great film criticism. I'm all for change. I am all for people like me, the old dinosaurs, being shoved aside in favour of a new generation, and frankly, that's happening. Look at Wittertainment. When I'm not doing that show with Simon Mayo, people like Clarice Lochry are coming in and frankly, doing a lot better than I am. Film criticism has to change, but it's not as simple as who you are defines what you think. What you think is down to how good a film critic you are.
Is it genetic? Are the whole family like this?
Literally.